When I first heard Sonic was going to go to the Nintendo GameCube, it felt surreal. I'm not going to lie. I knew it was happening. Sega said as much, but it was still pretty unbelievable. Sonic, Sega's mascot, basically the face of the company, was going to go to a longtime rival's console. And when it finally did happen, I was shocked. I'm not going to lie. It did shock me. I could recall that moment when I walked into a Target and right there on the GameCube kiosk was some kid playing Sonic Adventure 2 Battle right in front of me. Part of me was really expecting to see a Dreamcast control, but no, he was holding a GameCube control right there on the controller. Said Nintendo, the console said Nintendo, but up on the screen I saw Sonic running around City Escape, and after seeing that, it was a lot to take in. The Dreamcast discontinuation and Sega going third party was still pretty new, and I was still kind of processing the whole thing. But seeing Sonic on Nintendo was outlandish, almost impossible to believe. But there he was, undeniably, right there in front of me. And now that I was seeing Sonic in the GameCube, I realized some time had passed and was expecting some sort of improvements with this version. When I first initially played Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast, it felt like it needed more time, a little bit more polish. And thinking about the console's discontinuation, I assumed that they were just rushing things just to get it out of the door. And that's why it came out the way it did. For the GameCube release, I had hopes of Sonic Team polishing up the gameplay, as well as some other aspects of the game. But in the end, we pretty much got a straight port with a few bells and whistles. And even though I'm a fan of Sonic, and Sonic Adventure 2 is one of my most favorite Dreamcast games, both treasure hunting stages and shooting stages leave a lot to be desired. Let me start off by saying that the pinnacle gameplay here is Sonic and Shadow's speed stages. You're rushing through the level, hitting dash panels, jumping up obstacles, finding power-ups, finding hidden paths, homing in on enemies one by one to cross a platform. This is top tier Sonic gameplay that should have been concentrated on. But instead they give us a variety of gameplay styles that, I hate to say, don't really mash well together. First off, I'll start off with the shooting stages. They're pretty okay. The Eggman and Tails stages, the point of them is basically target as many enemies as you can and fire away for a high score, all while pressing forward, as well as jumping around, platforming from section to section. It has a nice, interesting rhythm to it, but it doesn't go well with the Sonic Speed stages. Believe it or not, it does have something of a Panzer Dragoon vibe to it. I'm not sure if that's what Sega or Sonic Team was going for. Though I gotta say that it's way better than those godforsaken treasure hunting stages. You know what? Screw them. Screw the Bat. Screw the Echidna. Their levels, are the most frustrating thing that I've ever played on both the Dreamcast and the GameCube. They basically put you in an arena-style level and randomly place whatever you're supposed to find around the map. And unless you have intimate knowledge of the stage, those hovering monitors that are supposed to clue you in on where these objects are will be utterly useless. It's all random. The randomness of it all make it extremely difficult in getting a high score. It's okay if you want to just go through the story mode and not care about anything, but if you want to get all the emblems and get an A, you have to continually play the stage again and again and again and again. And trust me, back on the Dreamcast, I spent a good hour trying to get an A in one of the space levels. I forgot who it was. It was because these levels, I wasn't willing to do it again on the GameCube. So with that said, these stages are unfairly difficult. And before I continue on, let me touch up on a Chao Garden. This was a particular feature in the Dreamcast version that I didn't particularly care for. It was something of a chore trying to raise a Chao and having them raised so I can unlock those extra emblems through the Chao races. However, in this GameCube port, you could actually transfer your Chao between Sonic Advance and Sonic Adventure 2, giving you the ability to basically take your Chao anywhere you go. Doing this via the Game Boy Advance is much more convenient than if you were to do it through a VMU. I know I'm like ragging on Sega a little bit, but the Chao Adventure minigame on the VMU basically took up all the memory there, and I had to buy multiple pairs of 2025 batteries. So the tiny Chao Garden on Sonic Advance is a little bit more convenient. Granted, you do need to get a Game Boy Advance, but still, it's easier to raise your Chao on the go than if you were to do it through a VMU. Controls are tight and lends itself well to the GameCube controller. Maneuvering and jumping and attacking are well done. Not the best, but still pretty good. Though picking up and putting down objects look and feel clunky. Luckily though, that's not a majority of the game. What would have improved were the camera controls. Using L and R to move the camera around was okay for the Dreamcast, but not utilizing the C-stick for 360-degree rotation was a missed opportunity, especially for those blasted treasure hunting games. And when it comes to visuals, I really wasn't expecting much. The game was basically announced around the same time the Dreamcast version came out, so I was pretty much expecting the same kind of graphics. Still, basing this off the games that were coming out around that time, they work pretty well. The textures are of high quality, as well as the geometry. Character models have more polygons and detail than SA1, and personally, I wouldn't have changed it. However, after about a year, I expected them to at least smooth out some of the animation somewhat. Knuckles and Rouge climbing up a ledge looks pretty weird, and the mechs that Robotnik and Tails ride move stiffer than they should be. Still, for an early GameCube game, I gotta say, the graphics hold up pretty well.
Okay, there may be a secret spot around here. Have you tried slow descent using hovering?
The music in this game has some of the most memorable songs in the history of the Sonic franchise. City Escape and Live and Learn are staples and continually appear in a variety of Sonic games. So this is peak Sonic music performance. Voice lines though leave something to be desired. And I'm not talking about the voice actors, no. What I'm talking about is the timing and lip movement. We got characters talking over each other, music that's louder than speech. The quality is all over the place. This is one aspect of the game that I really hope that they would have fixed, but in the end, they just left it as is, which is pretty disappointing. The menus and presentation for the most part is pretty much the same, except for the title screen background where on the GameCube there's this nice scrolling effect with all the different characters, which is a nice little touch. It kind of emphasizes that you're playing with a large cast of characters. However, what's missing in the menus would be the home page. And I get it, there was no online functionality on the GameCube at this time, which means we will be missing out on certain events like Christmas costumes, Halloween skins, among other things. I was kind of hoping that all the extra bonus DLC would have been included in the game somehow, either via time lock or just unlock them, but I haven't seen anything of the kind. Still, more or less, the main menu remains the same. The only change of note is the fact that they moved the background music playback to extras as opposed on the Dreamcast where I had it in the regular options menu. That is a minor change, so I don't really think it messes with the game all that much. And there you have it, guys. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the Nintendo GameCube. I gotta give this game a C. It's an excellent port of the game, don't get me wrong. However, after about a year being apart from the Dreamcast release, I expected some improvements. Namely, some of the voice lines and some of the animation errors, but they didn't do that. They kind of pretty much directly got what was on the Dreamcast, issues and all, and put it on the GameCube. The only improvement I'd seen was the fact that they made a two-player battle mode 60 frames a second. And that was about it. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. However, though, I considered it the most complete version of the game, the definitive version of Sonic Adventure 2. Namely because the cross-compatibility between the Game Boy Advance and the GameCube, raising your child, bringing it up, leveling up its stats, things of that manner. It makes raising a child much easier. That, and also because all the extra battle stages. Now, I never really cared for the two-player mode in this, but it's neat to have the additional stages that weren't available on the Dreamcast, and then put it here for you and your friends to race or fight each other or what have you. Although I do wish they would have included some of the DLC that came on the Dreamcast port. Like the Christmas outfits, the Halloween stuff, things of that nature. Not having any here is a little disappointing, but it's to be expected. There was no online feature here. You could find this version of the game for around $75 complete, the Player's Choice Edition, or $95, almost $100 with the black label. However, if you just want to play the main game, it's still available to download on Xbox Series 1 and Xbox Series X and S. So yeah, you have that option there. Anyway, this was Knockout 21. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, and like always, have a good one. Take care, you guys.